Okay. Well, welcome to the Planning Commission workshop meeting of Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. In the room is I'm Chairman Wayne Beeler, and on Zoom we have Commissioners Nelson DeLeon and Williamson Feasy. And we will begin the workshop today by going over what we have prepared so far for the annual report. And I'll turn it over to Brandy since she's been working hard on it.
All right, well, I can bring it up for you. One moment. And I sent it out earlier. There haven't been very many changes since I last sent this out to you. It's slowly opening. One moment. I can tell you how it begins. We start with all of the plans that have been approved in the year 2022. And at last count, there are approximately 36 of them. So there was a lot of activity this year. And then it follows by, oh, let me try it again. We have a slow connection this evening. And then we follow that up with projects that are pending. So there's those few that we've been extending the last few meetings. And then there were, of course, the projects that were that were submitted at the end of last year that have received action at the beginning of this year. I'm sorry, folks, I'm not able to get it to open up. So I'm going to share with Wayne here. I'll try it one more time. Oh, okay.
Word actually open.
Yeah, it's just not getting anything else here. Okay. One more time. Okay. It's looking promising.
As they say, technology is great when it works.
All right. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to open it. Yeah, I don't think I'm able to close the Word that won't open. So, okay. All right. No. I'm going to give it one more chance. Thank you for your patience.
Well, we did receive it to review it a while, and I'll just fill the time here by saying it was very thorough. And yeah, we were pretty busy. It's something to see it all written out like that. It seems like the same format that we've used before, which is good. And it looks like you're looking for resolution numbers to plug in for the ones that we've approved, or at least approved preliminary plans for, or whatever. So yeah, I guess that would be in the final draft, but so far it looks good, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. I am working on the resolution numbers. I am up to I just finished the resolutions for May, so I'm up to number 34.
Wow.
And then we're going to include something a little different this year, in that we're going to have a chart that gives us a layout of the dates of when we approve things, and that way council can look at it and go, well, gee, a lot of the projects do move forward quickly, and then but then you have these projects sitting around, like I said to Brandy yesterday. It gets very frustrating because it seems like some of the developers, after they get approval from us, they don't like follow through and finish up with what they need to do. And then it takes forever and a day to record them. And that's actually something that I wondered about. In the latest revision of the MPC, there's actually fines and stuff that you can hand out for not recording a plan.
I mean, half of our time is on the reaffirmations and all that. If we had that in the report, it'd be like twice as long, probably.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that I found an email dated back in 2017 when Keith Zahner was the head of zoning, and he was complaining about how much staff time it took to keep up with the reaffirmations and all of that stuff. And because we were so understaffed, we actually never did them at that time.
So I was able to bring up the document that Wayne mentioned, the resolutions that will be attached to the back of the annual report. So that's what you're seeing now. I wasn't able to get that Word document to open up. I might keep trying. But do other people have questions or comments about the format or additions?
For the purpose of this is for compliance with the MPC requirements for an annual report. So this is in draft format right now, and Randy will finalize it. So if there's any comments with it over the next week, please make them. And what we could do is hopefully adopt this at our PC meeting on the 28th, and we'll then forward it to council. But I think that this is a thorough document, and as mentioned, it follows the format we used last year, so that's great. And we can utilize that for consistency purposes. So I think we're in the right step.
Brandy, were you able to get a hold of Shelley and schedule something?
I haven't yet, but that's on my to-do list to contact Shelley in the city clerk's office to schedule the time when it will go before city council.
Yeah, because we don't want the same thing happening that happened last year. We're just going to go ahead and do our thing because we're ready. So, all right. If no one has any other comments about that, we'll be sending out an update. Before Tuesday's meeting, and so that we can perhaps at least take a vote on it. And
Not ready until.
Yeah, we still have until the April meeting, I believe.
Not like you don't.
Yeah. So we'll definitely get it done by the April meeting. All right. Next, I will hand it over to Jerome to talk about the Chapter 94 report and what it means, since I've never seen one before.
Chapter 94 report is something that municipality files every year to demonstrate that it is compliant with its permit requirements for wastewater. The things that the planning commission gets involved with is identifying existing, proposed, projected wastewater flows that are within the that are going to be part of the sanitary sewer system. So what we do is we look at the plans that we have on record, and this exercise goes nicely because we can utilize our annual report, and we just then applied with the wastewater flows were identified in the planning modules for each of those projects, and then the projects that have been approved, those are proposed, and the projects that we have pending, those are projected, and then projects that we also have an idea about, we should also identify, and that helps us out identify hydraulic and hydraulic loading within our sanitary sewer system, as well as other permit criteria that needs to be identified and addressed as in terms of loading within the system. So the Public Works Department then takes that information and then applies it to the collection and conveyance system, and then also the treatment system. So this is the 3 charts that have been prepared by Brandy will be then incorporated into the Chapter 94 report. These are basically the highlights. Organic loading is the other one.
Yeah. All right. Does anyone have any questions on the Chapter 94 report?
Yes, this as well. Just one correction first. I think it was number 13, the O'Neill storage should be Chester Street, not Chestnut Street. I always confuse it. Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, and so for calculating the wastewater, should it be a net figure? Because I'm thinking, like, for example, I didn't think all of these through, but the one that was obvious was with the school that we approved. Now, of course, there'll be some additional staff hired, but the students they won't be at Reading High, they'll be at this new facility, so there would be a drop in wastewater, one would presume, at the current school. Is there some way to offset the numbers, or, and I'd have to think, like I said, there are other examples like that.
Yeah, well, what we did was we just reported exactly what they had in their planning module report that they filed. So I think that once the Public Works gets the information, they could also identify that as the offset.
Right, because I know there's strict rules on how these things are calculated for their purposes, but I guess for ours, it's probably all we needed to do was like you said. But so if if that's not etched in stone, in other words, in terms of whatever federal regulations there are and consent decrees or who knows what, that's okay then. I'm just wondering about it. I have confidence that Public Works will account for everything.
Yeah.
Whatever legal requirements there are to do it that way. Thank you.
Yeah, they'll look at the collection and conveyance system that the new school portion is going to discharge into. Ultimately, at the treatment plan, it is going to balance out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, and then we'll have staff give a update on the zoning and saldo amendments for phase 1.
Yes, the phase 1 zoning and saldo amendments have been completed. They have been reviewed by the Berks County Planning Commission, as well as we've looked at it internally. These amendments have been prepared. They deal with a lot of technical issues that we had to deal with, change of uses, specifically districts within the CN district, conditions for special exception uses, required site distance, curbs and sidewalks, site distance, adult or daycare facilities. So those are just basic summaries of what we have done. And, you have received the last draft of what was done. You may have provided a recommendation in the past. We now have a clean version that's going to be issued based upon the county's review and what was sent back to the county. Just for formality's sake, and Michelle, you kick in on this, is that just like to see a clean recommendation on the current draft.
Yeah, I think that's the best route to go. I'm also putting these into a zoning or into an ordinance format. So if I can, I hope to have that to you by the end of this week. We can circulate it to the commission members and they could actually vote on that version on Tuesday evening.
Great.
Okay. And then, let's see here, 28th is our regular meeting.
Yes.
The, and then, how are we doing with phase 2?
Phase 2, we are reviewing the priority internally with staff. We will be presenting and coordinating that with Jamal to determine the highlights. You are aware of the ones that we highlighted, that list is going to be finalized soon, and then we're going to be working on that. We're also in the process of identifying a phase 3 as well, but some of the amendments we discussed in the past, where I don't think that there's anything that dropped off.
And just so everyone knows, going through my old emails, I found another one from 2017 written by Keith Zahner about Airbnbs, and he had a bunch of specific things listed. So I forwarded that email to Jerome and Brandy, so that they could take a look at it and see if Keith's recommendations are still valid, which they probably are. He was a very smart guy. It's a shame that Wally pissed him off and and he left. That's basically what happened there.
But yeah, once we get confirmation internally on how we're going to proceed, then we'll identify what those are. But I think we shared that with the planning commission in the past. I just don't know. I don't want to assume that something's going to be phase 2 and something's going to be phase 3 and it might get juggled.
Right.
But they're moving, we're looking at phase 2 in spring, which we're here.
Yeah.
And then phase 3 in the summer.
Yeah. Okay. So probably in May, we might have a draft to look at. So, yeah, that would be good. Because, yeah, once we get the annual report finished up, we can start working on that one thing at a time, definitely. Next, are there any updates for the community planning assessment and inventory update?
Yes, we are also in the process of, we finalized the list with the planning commission, and the only thing I think we're going to add as a priority is sustainability to that list. And what we're going to be doing next is identifying, internally, we've identified the previous plans that our top topics have been referenced within, and those would be downtown revitalization, college town, economic development, land use and zoning, transportation-oriented development, creative parking solutions, active transportation planning, residential housing, and sustainability. And then we also have additional criteria that was identified, so we're not missing something. But we've identified all the plans. We're able to use this as a functional worksheet that we could also reference in case someone says, well, where did this come from? And we identified all the plans that were previously referenced in the page numbers, what was discussed. In the previous plans, there was not a lot in terms of an implementation strategy. That's what, who, what, when, where, how it's going to be accomplished. And that's what one of the objectives is going to be as we move forward on how that we're going to be able to accomplish that.
Okay, great. All right,
I was
Any-
thinking, Mr. Chairman, we had in the previous version, among other things, one that was still, I guess, be active, but we haven't gotten an update on for a long time, is the 18th Wonder Plan, the plan for revitalization of the 18th Ward.
Yeah, well, there was a couple other things that popped up. I know that the 18th Ward, Brandy found it, was able to include it in our library. And Wayne had brought up to us, there was a couple others that we added to the library as well.
Okay, yeah, there's so many, it's hard to remember them all.
oh yeah, definitely. I think this is the best way, to go about this, since we do have so much stuff laying around. Let me see here. I just wanted to then go over a few things. Luckily, Michelle's here, so I can ask her. One thing that kind of dropped off the radar is the bylaws. Do you still have those, Michelle?
I do, and I will look for them. Because of everything else going on, I had not put those on it to, with everything else you guys are undertaking, I had not put those on the list, but I can move those up if you'd like.
No, I'm thinking probably the summer.
Okay,
We can get to those. Yeah, and then hopefully I'll be around. So, next question was the simple improvements agreement.
I'd have to circle back. I believe Jerome approved it. I'd have to confirm if Tim Kroll approved it.
I think that's where it's at. Yeah, let's coordinate that, Michelle, with Tim to make sure that he's got it. He's got anything to add.
Okay,
Right. Great. All right, and then it looks like we'll present the annual report to City Council in May. And since I'll have City Council's ear, I wanted to see what everyone thought about a few ideas that I wanted to bring up to City Council. The first one is actually having a secretary that would be split between the Planning Commission and the Heart, so that someone is there to answer the door. There in Brandy and Amy's office, but also somebody who can handle the minutes and things like that, which is a very time-consuming task for both Amy and for Brandy. So I was just wondering what the commissioners and everybody else thought about that idea. Now that we're out of Act 47, we can actually hire people.
Yeah, it's as well, it's a good idea, Mr. Chair. I've said before, there should be support. It doesn't have to be full-time, like you're suggesting. It could just be part-time for all those sorts of administrative tasks to free the planner up for planning work and maybe it would actually be more efficient in any way to do it that way. So yeah, I think it makes sense. I don't know if you're thinking of including, doing, of course, there'd be the meeting agenda and the, I don't know about notices that have to go, all the notices that have to go out. But certainly a administrative assistant could help with those,
Yeah,
things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, whatever would be. And I'm sure there's a corresponding amount of things that the Historic Architectural Review Board has to do too, like that. So yeah, it makes sense to me.
yeah.
Yeah, I concur with that. So they
Okay.
had one.
Right, yeah.
Let's coordinate that with Jamal.
Okay, because years ago, when planning was up on the third floor where human relations is now, there used to be a secretary that was split between planning and zoning.
They had 5 staff members as well, like, can't imagine that they were as busy as we are today.
Yeah, right. So, I think it's something worth discussing, so, all right. The next thing I'll also ask city council to consider, which I brought this up before, is a budget line for us to go to seminars and different things that come up occasionally. So, yeah, we're supposed to, but, okay, great. So we'll look into that. The other thing that
Things that we're trying.
training, okay, great. Let's look at that.
Yeah, that should be standard operating procedure.
Okay, great. And then another thing that we used to do that we used to do, but we haven't done for years, is that the administration used to give us a copy of the capital budget and the CDBG estimates for the year, and would have us go over them and make recommendations. And I don't know if that's something that you might be interested in taking on again, or because there were always a number of things that we would find that seemed a little strange to be spending CDBG money on. But that might be something we want to consider being able to take a look at again. All right. Okay. Any comments from anyone?
No, sounds like a plan.
Just on the annual report, we're back on that. And I'm thinking about it, and I think I did ask council for support. I mean, we didn't have, I tried to remember, I don't even think we had a planner at the time, but I did ask them for support for administrative matters when I gave one of those annual reports the one time. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing that back up. But I'm just thinking maybe we should, as protocol, we should include on the report, I reviewed in here, I don't think it was on there, our representation on the other bodies, like on the Blighted Property Review, the Greenhouse Committee, and whatever else. I don't remember if it was last year was the redistricting, or that was the year before. But wherever we were represented, I think we should put that in officially too.
I'm getting there.
Under, you know what, we should probably include that under section G of the annual report. Where the planning commission is involved with other activities. Okay. And that's where we should probably at least include that for now, but yeah, that's a good point, Will.
Thank you, yeah. I'm just glad we're getting these, and we're doing them more time now, the last couple of years, it's great.
Yeah, I think,
Last year's report may have been short on this.
Okay. Okay, so if I send out an email to planning commission members requesting
Yeah.
these
Yeah,
activities.
that's what
from
Andrew
this
used to
past
do.
year.
and then
Okay.
see at the very end of the report, he used to put
Oh,
in
okay,
what,
all right.
Yeah.
2012, all right, I'll use that as a
Yeah.
reference.
yeah,
And then send
all of
it-
Andrews had, all of Andrews had that section.
Okay,
So that might be a good place to look. So, all right. Okay, great. Let me see here. Okay, any highlights for the next meeting?
For our regular meeting, Randy and
I have the list here. I'm sorry, the word isn't working, so I'll read through what I have for the regular meetings agenda. So start the meeting. The first item is a Burn Street car wash. It would be just an update for that project. The Burn Street storage, lot 2, again, just an update. And then the Albright Gingrich Library land development, again, this would just be an updated item. And then for actual reviews, the Holy Trinity Church of God land development would be up for approval. I believe that's pending easement. Further action on that easement. And then we have the First Energy Stadium revised plan of record. And then the Wawa store number 153, this is the one on Rockland. It's a revised plan of record. I'll be sending that one around. And then the Goggle Works annexation plan. And then along with that, there's a Goggle Works street vacation that has been submitted as well. So those last two, the Wawa and the Goggle Works annexation and street vacation, those will be new for folks. So I'll make sure that you have the links to the website to review those to our folders.
Yeah, that's the Orange Street vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that they can build a deck.
There are, we were expecting one for the 22 Kenhorst. No, we didn't get that. And then there was the Joint Municipal Authority,
Yeah.
and we haven't received that. Those are expected next month.
Okay.
And those, the last one is an annexation plan.
Yeah, so the 5 will. Yeah, I don't expect to have anything further on Burn Street car wash or Burn Street storage, since they have not submitted anything new. But everything else they've had some form of submission.
And
What was the Wawa one, sorry?
Wawa store 153, which is in the Rockland Street. They are submitting a revised plan of record. They're doing some modifications with fuel storage tanks, as well as some, I think, parking. I'm going to ask about the pile of dirt.
Yeah, there was excavation, that's what in my neighborhood, okay, so the revised, submitting a revision to record, okay, that makes sense.
So I don't know if the pile of dirt was out there for any environmental purposes for
Yeah, I don't
assessment.
think they added a new tank, I mean, we would like to know.
Yeah,
It's a replacement, I believe, a
it's a
replacement for a
replacement,
tank.
but there's a couple of minor modifications. Not a really big deal, but yeah, it's that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, they
Right, well, yeah, we do have to, we do have to have the updated information on that, that's great, thank you.
Mr. Chairman and commission members and consultants, the conflict that I was supposed to have in January is occurring next week. So the current plan is for Attorney Hartman to participate in your meeting next month or next week.
Okay, great. Yeah, Chris is always great, so be good to see him again. Okay, does anyone else have anything else?
Nope.
All right, with that, I think we can adjourn. And we'll be ready for, looks like we'll be ready for next month. Just look out for the update to the to the annual report. We'll be, I won't get to it tomorrow, but Thursday and Friday, I plan on finishing my part up, so. All right, very good. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see everybody next week.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good night.